Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special episode of Run It Back. An earlier show today on the Thursday, as I am joined by my good friend Bryn Kenney. Bryn, it's been a while. It's been about almost a year since we last caught up. We're going to dive into some content. We're going to watch some Poker Masters from 2017. Almost $1 million score for yourself, but I'm sure we have plenty more to talk about. First and foremost, how have you been these last couple of months?
I've been doing amazing, really. Just been super focused on cleaning up my diet, exercising a lot, going in the ocean, just trying to bring more and more balance into my life, reading about interesting topics, about like mind, body, spirit, and really just been focused on trying to be a better version of myself every day.
Wow. So you're basically living, I'm assuming, a bit more of a quiet life now that there's no crazy poker travel. How has that adjustment been? Are you ever coming back to it? Have you learned a new lifestyle that's much more fun, or are you chomping at the bit to get back to action?
No, it's really nice actually to finally get a time to breathe and relax and have a bed that's my own, actually, because throughout like this whole stretch of poker, I never even really had a home. So never had a bed that was mine, never had a place to leave my stuff, left it at friends' places in different cities. And yeah, it's nice to wake up in the same place every day. And I'm on the beach in Miami. So like in a really nice place in Miami too, in Bell Harbor, where it's nice and quiet. It's pretty perfect for right now. And just been able to really like focus on some things I want to focus on, health, some business stuff, some charity stuff. Really, you know, in my mind, I already did everything that I set to accomplish in poker. So I don't really have anything to prove there. And it's not like I saw myself always being a professional poker player. I actually saw myself as trying to build the base of my life, my existence with poker, you know, money wise and just knowledge. Poker is such a great game that, you know, you learn so many different life lessons, especially you go into the world yourself with just the knowledge that you have as someone young. And of course you're going to make mistakes, you're going to learn lessons, but you're going to learn them fast. And if you can take everything and just get stronger from the good and the bad, you know, that resilience and that strength really can just translate to anything else in life. And I really believe that, you know, if you can build your mind strong as a poker player, and going through the ups and downs, especially, you know, you can translate that to just keeping a good mindset and positive focus in anything, and being able to, because really I think that everything just comes down to really the belief in yourself that you can actually do it or not, and then following in that path and really aligning your life with that direction that you want to be in. And the more difficult something is that you want, the more and more that you have to prove that you really want it in different ways. And that might be in success, and that might be in falls also, and just along that whole roller coaster, and just kind of keeping yourself like centered or intact or just mentally strong to be able to get knocked down and be able to fight day in and day out.
Wow, you're like we're getting deep in some philosophy right here off the bat on Run It Back. For those who are just tuning in, or if you're new to the show, on Run It Back, we always look back at some old school poker footage. Today, we're watching the 2017 Poker Masters 50K final table. The names are on the screen, almost $1 million up top, and we'll dive into the action as we go through this conversation. So see this as the backdrop for this podcast with Bryn. If you have questions for Bryn, please send them in the chat. We can ask him anything, so please keep those questions coming. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. I do this show once a week on Thursday. Always have an exciting guest. And today, Bryn, we're going to dive into, some of the big swings that you've been through in your life. At the time, which is crazy to realize, in 2017, when you won this final table, It was one of your biggest, it wasn't the biggest, but it was one of your biggest scores at the time. And it's crazy to think about that since then, so much has changed. You are now the all-time money list leader with 56 million in earnings. Of course, you won that insane Triton event. Go back in time a little bit to where you were at in your mindset back in 2017.
So what happened in 2017? So in 2016, I actually got screwed over horribly and, went to sleep one night thinking that I was a millionaire and came back from like starting that year with like nothing or a small amount of money, building it up to like $1 million. I thought I had more money coming into me. I wound up just getting screwed instead and going to sleep one night thinking I'm a millionaire and actually waking up the next day as a negative millionaire. So, pretty much what you have to tell yourself though, always through tough things in life, and you could adjust that to everything in life, is the past is over and all that you can do is act your best and do your best from this moment forward to enact inside a positive or the future that you want to see.
So when you go to bed a millionaire and you wake up stuck a million, what happened in those 8 hours? I mean, was there an investment thing that went wrong, or?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was an investment thing that went wrong, and it looked like, a lot of money was coming in. Instead, no money came in, and I made a bad deal there. I was stupid and really fucked myself. But that it was just like, because I kept making mistakes over and over again in the regard of money and trusting people too much. So it was like, if you're going to keep making the same mistakes in life, life is just going to keep hitting you harder and harder with that same direction until you actually learn and you're able to adjust your game plan, I guess, going forward, as opposed to just continuing in that cycle.
So what's the lowest point you've been at in your career? Like, are there certain days or moments that stand out where you're like, wow, I can't believe it ever got this bad?
Well, I just always really train my mind. I mean, that's always the real thought that exists. But I mean, I always trained my mind to not be bothered by the past and really did a good job about it, because I kind of always thought that if you allow yourself affected, no matter what bad situation you're in right now, you're just not going to be able to put in your best self going forward. So it's like, even during those toughest moments, I would be mentally strong where, in that one, I was in London at the time, and I just told myself that, you have to just accept the past and move on. And I always told myself that I was very good at accepting the past and moving on. And that's another tricky thing. If you put those words out there and say that you're very good at something, just prepare to be tested at that. And, we might be tested when no one's looking, and that might be like the real tests in life. And, I told myself that I pretty much I got a nice apartment for a week and told myself by when the week was over, I just had to leave the apartment and just forget about it and move forward and just do the best that I could. And just, accept that it might take me 2-3 years to get out of it, and, just accept that. And at the same time, clear my mind and be focused on just where I had to go, as opposed to where I was or what happened in that present moment. And I just, I put all the energy that I had into that. And a lot of the times when I really played my best poker, it was times where, back against the wall, maybe none of the money was, a lot of my big wins, it's like none of the money even went to me, actually. It was just like getting out of shitty situations. And then then things went really well where I barely played and just won everything. So in 2017, like when this happened, so this was at like the end of the year. I think I made some money from this, actually, personally, but I won the most money in 2017. And before this tournament, out of all the wins that I had, I barely got any of it. I might have gotten some in Monte Carlo, actually, too, because earlier in this year, I won the 100K in Monte Carlo. I might have saw a little bit of money in that. But before then, like in the PCA that year, I won the the 50K, the 25K final table, the other 25K final table, the 100K. I forget what else. I won everything really that year, just to get myself out of that bad spot and kind of just have a little bit of air to breathe by the end of 17. And then in 18, I had my only losing year ever.
Wow.
Where I was losing. Well, I guess so. Then when after I won this tournament, it was the last tournament that I had a deal with the person who was staking me, because in reality, I just wanted to get away as quick as I possibly could. Where, at this time I didn't have much of a role, so I needed to be put in these tournaments, of course. So, but as soon as I could get out and get a new deal from someone else, so this was the last tournament of that, actually. So then after this tournament, I started getting staked by someone else. And from this was in, I guess, September of 17 to January of 19, I went on my worst losing streak, where I had so many 10th place, so many 7th through 13th places. Not necessarily that I played poorly, just the right situations just weren't coming up. And I guess it just wasn't the right time, or, I just think that everything happens for a reason. So, it being the first losing year that I had, I feel like it set up everything that happened afterwards, because so in the start, since I was losing and was in a bunch of makeup, and since I have a expensive lifestyle also, so by the beginning of 19, I was in 3.5 million in makeup, and
Wow.
must have owed like 500K to $1 million on the side. It was probably more like $1 million or so. And the person who was taking me, actually, they said that they were willing to cancel the deal and just to start over, because they felt like the amount that I was down was like an insurmountable amount of money. But the thing is, for me, my word and making a fair deal for everyone, I don't care how rich anyone is, are really the most important things to me. So if someone invests in me and I have a big losing year in 1 year, when the stakes are high anyway, I mean, I was in Asia playing 300K buy-ins, 100K buy-ins. To lose like 3.5 million, it isn't even crazy over a year span or so, a year and a quarter span or so at those stakes. And really, I just couldn't accept that. So before they could even get the words out, I said, there's no chance I could accept that. Let's just keep the makeup, and don't worry, I'm going to be #1 in the world again this year. And then, I went to Aussie Millions. I won it. I went to the US Poker Open from there, just at the end, I played 2 events, I think, and just won one of those. Then I went to Jeju and chopped heads up with Tim Adams in like 250K buy-in. I think that was either for like 2.5 or 3 million or so. So then I was already, I was on my way already 3 months into something that was, to some people, thinking like a big hole. I was just seeing it more like I was very focused and prepared, and just trying to do whatever I could in other aspects that I had never really focused on, like starting to think about my health more, and thinking about what type of supplements I take, and maybe what type of energy booster or brain pills or such, and get recommendations from smart people close to me, and just try to be at my peak performance when I'm playing. Because I feel like, I played poker my whole life. Everyone's studying all these charts all the time. You see, especially when people are studying the same things and you're playing with the same people every day, you see how they're thinking and how they're playing pretty fast when it's like the same type of material. And, you incorporate that information with the well of knowledge that you have already from playing 15 years all day, every day. And like that year, I didn't focus on playing at all. Actually, I focused on having a well-balanced, happy life way more than anything else. Where I think Jeju, after I won Jeju, I took like the longest break I ever did from the start of my poker career. I think it was either a month and a half or 2 months from Jeju to Monte Carlo. And
Well, you went to
I went
Montenegro for the Triton series, right?
well, Monte Carlo was first, and then I went to
Oh,
Montenegro right
right.
after. So yeah, I took like 2 months off, and I didn't think about poker at all. I was just feeling great about my game, very focused, very just lasered in life, I felt like. And so I went to Monte Carlo. I didn't win anything, but then yeah, in Montenegro, I won back-to-back events and really just put on a strong performance. And the thing is, nobody really knew that I started that year, you know, in big makeup, negative money, because I never show it at the table. I'm confident. I'm very confident in my poker game. And that's what we're doing. What my finances on the side, it doesn't matter. You know, I'm just at the table trying to play the best that I can. And other people have really a hard time, you know, maybe separating the two. But for me, that's just like what you had to do to survive on this roller coaster that I've been on. And then what happened was in Montenegro, I heard about the Triton $1 million event. And as soon as I heard about it, it's like I heard something special, like in my head. It was like bells rang off. Like I knew that I was going to win this. I always didn't play the $1 million tournaments because I was always on downswings at the times. And I never wanted to play a tournament for like 10 or 20% because I knew I was going to win one. I could feel that I was going to win one of these big events for 20 million. And I would rather not play than pass off, you know, 18 of it. So it turned into the right time so then at the same time, so since I'd won so much that year, everybody thinks that I'm flush and I might be more careless than usual because I've been known to be more careless with money when I have it, smarter when I don't have it, and careless when I don't have it. So the perception now is that I've been winning everything. I'm not really grinding at all, so I probably don't really care much. During the World Series, I showed up maybe 3 or 4 events at the last minute, like clearly didn't care to play at all. But it was because I saw that Triton event actually as just the event that I was going to win. So I just put all of my energy into getting myself as prepared as I possibly could for those 3 days of poker where, you know, in poker, you really have to convince yourself that you're just playing a normal day, no matter what, that you're just there trying to play the best poker that you could. But when you're in the biggest event that's ever happened and you're getting through stages, it's easy to let the other things creep in. But at the same time, if you want to win it and you want to play your best, you have to just be focused on just playing your best game and no outside factor at all. Maybe incorporate how other players are going to be affected and add that into the way that you're going to play, since you're always just trying to, at least my style of poker is just always adjusting based on the way that I think the other person plays, the way that I think they're going to play at this stage of the tournament, what range of hands they have, what are they trying to represent, do I believe them, and going through Rolodex of hands. So during that time, I mean, I focused very much on just getting as prepared as I could. Then even how I posted on Twitter about how I wanted to bet against any team, mine and Carrie's team versus anyone else. And people saw that as like something just cocky too, but I really just saw it where, you know, if I'm going to bet on a businessman in a must cash bet, I want to bet on Carrie over any of the guys in the tournament anyway. And if I'm going to have a huge influence on having a massive must cash last longer, and I'm controlling the outcome myself, or, you know, the range of hands that I'm having and maybe being able to cash more often at the time, I'm betting against a bunch of people who have no skin in the game. They're just betting on other people that are participating. And I really just thought it was the best bet ever, that I was happy to bet, you know, all the money I had on it.
Hold on. I have to interrupt you real quick because we got to set the stage for this. By the way, you're all in here in the Poker Master. People can watch the footage and listen to us talk. I just want to say thanks everyone so much for tuning in. Keep the questions coming. I'm keeping a list. We'll get to your questions in just a little bit. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. But let me tee this up. We have the Triton Million coming up. £1 million buy-in. Absolutely insane tournament. Insane for any person. If you're rich or poor, it doesn't matter. £1 million is still £1 million. Bryn, talk me through this from start to finish. How did you get in this tournament? How much of yourself did you have? And how much did you bet on the side? Because the people want to know once and for all how insane these 3 days in London were.
So I mean, me and Carrie have a good relationship, so it was pretty normal that he would invite me. And yeah, we just, of course, I knew I was going to play no matter what. I mean, I would come in with someone else and hop in the tournament. And
Yeah, so for the people who are unaware, this tournament, if you are a pro, you could not just sign up for it. You have to have an invitation from a businessman player. So the field was half and half, and it was also played half and half until, I believe, the second day. So you got the invite from Carrie. So continue your story.
yeah, I got the invite from Carrie, and I mean, I just felt something special about this tournament from the second that I heard it. You know, I looked at the line of my whole life, the way that I felt that I'd been, you know, tested in different ways, and just, I really just felt like I was going to win it as soon as I heard about the tournament. So this is an interesting hand though, right here, actually.
Okay, let's do the hand first. Let's do the hand first.
So this hand, actually, I swear I had a feeling to fold because of Seidel's, like I had a feeling when he looked at his cards that he had it here. And then I just didn't listen to myself because I knew that my range was just so ahead of Doug's.
So you come in with the raise, Doug 3-bets, and Seidel 4-bets all in with the aces. So you thought about
the third thing is that Doug now calls off like in a three-way all in.
So you thought about folding queens here?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never folded queens before the flop, so no one.
It's just like Seidel like wasn't interested. He was just like swirling around, and then he just looks down, and he's all of a sudden very interested.
But if you look at the stack sizes at the top of the screen, of course, Polk is the chip leader. You have Seidel just barely covered. So for
Doug, we're on like the money bubble, right? Or we're like one, or we just cashed.
I think I can tell you actually.
No, we cashed. We're at the bottom. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. So Doug gets a price if you guys both have ace king, or you know, Seidel could even have worse given the stack sizes, I guess. This is one of those moments where you just have to hit it, obviously.
I see there, I was just like talking to myself. You know, I'm a big instinct person. You know, I feel like I feel a lot from other people, like feel their energy or something. And I mean, my instincts have always done me very strong, while at the same time, of course, you know, playing all day and understanding the math section of poker also, and just constructing, you know, your own game where it is that you think that you can extract the most value with the least variance. And poker's an infinite game, and there are tons of ways that you can consider that problem. And they're not, I mean, everyone has kind of been focused on how to get 0.1 BB from every hand and maximizing even the slightest dollar bit. But I would say more like, why would you want to maximize the smallest dollar bit with high variance if you can construct a game that has less variance and plays to your advantages and maybe other people's disadvantages?
So while this showdown is running here on the screen, I want to pivot back to the Triton Million, because I think it's a marquee moment in your life, and also is in poker's history. We'll always talk about this event because it was the largest first prize ever. Getting into this event, the deal was that I would sell half of mine and half of his also. So then I would be, because I mean, I came in saying that I wanted to have 50% of the tournament. I think I swapped at the final table a few points, and, you know, maybe sold a few points extra than that, but wound up having somewhere around 40 to 44%, maybe 42 to 44% or so. So let's talk net worth as far as how invested you were. How big of a spot was this?
So then I decided to take all the rest of the cash that I had and bet it all on me and Carrie and teams versus any other team in the tournament.
So you were literally all in before even one hand was dealt.
Yeah. I mean, at worst, because I didn't figure that. See, like if I'm going to lose like a must cash last longer, I'm not going to lose to all the teams at once. So I've got like against 5 or 6 different teams. So it's going to be like almost impossible that like me and Carrie both don't cash and a person on each of those teams cashes also. And like I get literally bloodbaths. So, you know, it's much more the time that I scoop when one of us cash as opposed to me ever really getting scooped. So I figured that even if I was betting everything, the most of the time, even if I lost that bet, I was only going to lose like 40 to 60% maximum of what I bet there.
So obviously we both agree we could write a book about the actual ins and outs of these 3 days. We can call it 3 days in London and the insanity that went along with that. So as you're going through this tournament with an insane 20 million pound first prize, are you calm? Are you nervous? Are you checking chip counts to see how your bets are doing? Take me into your mindset during the event.
I was just so calm. I was just so calm and collected. I had my brain pills, my energy drinks. You know, I was focused and prepared and ready to play 3 days of cards. Actually, I cashed in the tournament without ever being all in a single time. I fluctuated from, so a million starting. I think I never had more than 2.7 before the money made. And I think I cashed with 1.8 or 2 million or something, maybe 2.2. So I kind of just, you know, I ensured that I was going to scoop all my bets. You know, I played a low variance style of poker, like it early on. I didn't, you know, I figured I had a lot of extra incentive to make the money. Why was I, you know, I made a good bluff on Soys. I remember that was on camera where like he 3-bet me and I raised him on some rag flop with the king 9 and he wound up folding ace king to my raise. It was like a jack 7 deuce flop or something. And he bet out. And I guess I just felt him weak, just like an energy thing. Like, I don't know what it is. It's just, I feel, you know, weak there, raise it up, but really just played a solid game. And then in the spots when I then could take advantage, when we were getting deeper in the tournament, I think I took a lot of advantage and wasn't really thinking or worried at all about how much money of mine or how much was on the line. I wasn't looking at other stacks during the tournament. I was really only focused on myself and just being in the moment and playing as good as I possibly could.
A lot of questions coming in the chat. We are live, by the way, on Twitch, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Keep your questions coming. Every single platform has individually asked, what about these brain pills? Are we talking Adderall or cocaine, or are we actually talking about something holistic?
Yeah, holistic and natural. Like I don't like pills, or I would never take Adderall.
If you can recommend it, what is it and what does it?
I don't remember because I've been recommended some my girlfriend found me some, my dad found me some. So it's like, yeah, I don't remember the names because I take it. You know, it's just like, here, this is good for you.
Right.
Okay, perfect. You know, and if you're going to perform on your best, at the highest level of anything, you need a team to help you perform in that way. To eat your best, to be your best, to train, to eat, to perform. You know, anyone thinking that they could do anything just by themselves without a strong team, you know, they really just don't realize how much stronger they could be if they took some help.
Right. So final table of the Triton Million, obviously, first of all, massive bubble. Second of all, very steep payouts. And it all comes down to basically getting down to the final 2. You managed to do that. You make a deal. You were guaranteed $20 million US, 60 million pounds. We all know how much side action you had. Describe that moment to me when the deal is sealed and you basically have nothing else to worry about ever again.
Oh my God, my body was just so dead. I could barely move. Actually, I couldn't really eat. I was trying to eat for the past like few hours, for even like the past few days. I would be able to eat before the tournament. I would have breakfast every day, like a nice breakfast. After that, I didn't eat any of those days. I guess I was I was on like a cloud on another level. I was just, I got myself into some crazy zone, super focused. And as soon as it was like over, my body just crashed. And even if you see like how I played when it got heads up, it was like I just had nothing left in the tank. I tried to make it as fast as I possibly could. The tournament was just over for me. If the deal was made, I won the biggest tournament ever in history. I was number one all-time winner. I mean, not holding up the trophy didn't really matter. I mean, did you not really hold up the trophy, or like, did you? If you won the most money, I don't really need to hold it up. Won the most money, and for that next week, actually, I was just completely drained, and I've never been like that before. I used so much energy, I guess, from that 3 month period, just really focused so much on winning that tournament and getting myself into the best frame of mind to make that happen. And as soon as it just was over, it just like crashed all on me, and I didn't have anything left anymore.
So it's pretty obvious that since that big win, we've not seen you as much. Of course, we just had a big COVID year, which didn't help either. But did you feel as though this was your going out on top situation where, okay, I've got the big score, I cleared all the makeup that I had, and I won a whole bunch betting on myself. Now it's time for me to move on?
Well, I mean, I don't know, like ever really like move on as not play poker anymore, because I love poker. I love the game. I think it's the best game ever. I mean, I love high stakes. I love the competition of it. I love the fun also too. As you see when I'm playing, I have a good time. I laugh, I smile, you meet cool people, you go to cool cities. Everything about it, I just love it. And I would always love to see poker just in a better light, like more of really a dream of where you could start your life. If it was constructed in a different way, really, or just in some different ways. But I love the game, and if they announce that there was $1 million tournament somewhere, I'd be on a plane to play that. But anything smaller than like a nice size 250K in a place that I want to play it in, it's not necessarily like the focus for me, like moving forward. It's more about now using my knowledge, my voice, my resources to try to do as much good as I can. And maybe that's helping to build mechanisms, enlightening people. Just really, I guess what I'll try to do in life is I'll try to build something big so that can support many people around the world to be the best that they can be.
We have
And
sorry, go ahead, finish your sentence.
and I'm so like connected to that, and that drive to do as much good as others as I possibly can, because I really see strength in someone as like, how many people can you fight for? So for me, it was always like, I fought for my family, I fought for my friends of friends. And I would love to be able to use all of my resources and knowledge to be able to help assist others to have the best life that they can.
That's beautiful. That's amazing, and I know, because I'm Facebook friends with your mom, and I've met her quite a few times. I know how much you care about family, and I just really appreciate that you always make sure to reference that. And I think it's good for people to know that you always put family first. We're getting lots of questions in the chat about your bankroll management or lack thereof. Your swings, going broke. Did you always have 100% of yourself? So people really want to know is, how did you do all this for, well over a decade? And you already mentioned earlier in the show, 2017, you had to get real down in 2018 to build it all back up. But take us back before that. How often did you go broke? How big were these swings? And, how have you been able to last for all these years?
I mean, I went broke a lot of times, but the thing is, it's not like I went broke by losing at cards. I've always won at cards. I've just maybe spent too much, staked too many people, been too generous in some spots, careless. You learn in life. You come out as this 21-year-old kid that doesn't know anything about money all of a sudden is, and at the same time, I had to desensitize myself to money while I was playing to be able to play at the highest level. And then at the same time, you desensitize yourself to money in life also. And it's hard to really have that balance and not let one seep into the other, especially as you're a young person who really set like your own trail, your own like track in life, and didn't really have necessarily like in this business or in like a business mind have anyone to help like with the direction. So it was always what I learned myself. And really it's like in that same interview that we had, you know, I've had a lot, I've had none, I've had negative, but my word has always been good, and I've always won at the highest stakes, and I've always been a winner throughout the last 15 years in cards. That one losing year was the only one I've ever had. I played the highest stakes for pretty much the past 15 years and consistently been one of the biggest winners, whatever they ever called a high roller. And while at the same time, if you keep your word true and you're a proven winner, you have people that will help you out, invest in you. And at the same time, there were places where I had a lot of money, helped other people out. So you wind up getting that same leverage essentially if you hit like bad sections. And at the same time, you know, people are happy to bet on you at poker. If I didn't have that and I didn't have the skill at the game, you know, no one was trying to give me a handout. You know, they just believed that I would win, you know, and that their investment and that the words that I say are truth. And that's really just what's kept me alive, my word and my truth and my morals being so strong.
You're always very vocal about the fact that you are not too worried about GTO play, studying the solvers, all the stuff that seems to bring a lot of these opponents of yours to the top. How have you been able to stay at the top during an era that went from, you know, gut feeling is good enough to all of a sudden you're playing against machines? How have you done that?
Because nobody's an actual machine, and I have a different style that's been constructed that's very hard to play against. You know, I've been thinking about poker for my whole life, and I think about what's the best style to play against my style. And honestly, the best that I could come up with is to keep pot small and to stay away. You know, it's a dangerous style that puts people all in for all their chips at a high frequency of right decisions of when they have, you know, that weak value hand as opposed to a nutted hand. I haven't wound up, you know, bluffing into the nuts really a lot. You see my big bluffs like really hitting dead on of what the people have and having dead on instincts and or very, very sharp instincts. And you know, I think I see how everybody plays. I put it into my, you know, my brain of poker and analyze what I like some things about it. I don't like others. And I've just, you know, I've constructed a different style. If everybody else is focused on pre-flop, you know, they're focused on getting 0.1 BBs and taking small edges in all these different situations. And somehow by me not taking these small edges that they deem as the correct play, they think that, of course, I can't be as good as them. But what if instead of taking these high variance, low expectation plays, what if instead I've constructed a game that I'm taking high value, high expectation plays with less risk on turns and rivers in situations where I've got my opponent pegged down to what his range of cards are? You know, why would you want to take high risk chances if you feel like the way that you've constructed your game has a lot of low risk chances and ways that you can exploit on others' weaknesses? You know, nobody is a robot. Everybody has a frequency of either calling too loose or folding too much. And remember, if you construct a game that plays a certain style, that calls a certain percent of hands versus a certain size bet, and then at the same time adjusts and calls with another certain size range with another size bet, and if you find out that person's frequency, you know, you can puppeteer them essentially and wind up having them call you over and over again when you're value betting and wind up getting tons of bluffs through.
It's fascinating to listen to, but then the question that comes up when you say that kind of stuff is, are you the most talented poker player in the world? Because obviously you don't study like the others do. So is it talent?
But isn't playing poker for 12 hours a day for 15 years studying?
I guess in a way, but
You know,
also,
isn't living, breathing, and everything poker, staking other players and watching their games, talking poker with poker players, businessmen, trying to add games like that exist for the poker community online and live. My whole life, whole existence is only really thought about poker. So it's like, other people have had their good runs and then they kind of enjoy that good run. They might go out and party a bit. I've played over and over and over and over again. And, I feel I put in more. I feel like all that it comes down to is, am I the most talented? Maybe. But why would that be? Probably because I've wanted it. I've proven that I've wanted it more than everybody else. I fought for my family. I fought for it being able to do more good than just the money that was made right here at this stage of my life. I fought for everything I believed in every time I went at the table, and really was just ready to brawl, ready to play, like focused on, doing and being the best that I possibly could, and not allowing like past mistakes to cloud my mind.
for the people who are just tuning in, we are watching the 2017 Poker Masters final table. It's a $50K event with almost $1 million up top. Bryn and I are having an amazing discussion, an amazing conversation, and we'll dive into some of the poker hands as they come along. But you guys feel free to chime in the chat what you want to hear from Bryn. If you have any questions, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends. Tons of amazing conversations every Thursday here on Run It Back. It is fascinating to hear you talk about how you've been able to stay at the top and how you've been able to basically craft your own style, which is very unique, because if you go to a super high roller bowl these days, there's basically GTO guys and recreational players and not a whole lot in between. So do you think you are the exception, or are there ways for other people to implement your style and also be successful?
Honestly, I just believed in myself, and I believed that that's what I was going to do. And I put everything into that. The trick, the truth, the real thing about life is believing in yourself, and really believing in yourself. But, believing in yourself and then walking that direction in your life in every possible way that you can to reach that goal that you want to see. And, then that's just going to happen. You'll make it happen. So, that was just, it was like a goal of mine to retire my dad. I always saw that he worked so hard, sacrificed in my mind for like the good of the family, not necessarily like happy working, but doing it. So I took it on myself as, my responsibility, or what would make me happy. So it's like every poker hand, every poker tournament right here, that was like a part of the fire that I had burning inside. I just wanted it, I think, so bad every time. And it's like I was fighting for more than myself. So, at the same time, if you're fighting for more than yourself, is there power with you also in some way? And I would say possibly.
Going back to the element of live poker that seemingly has been understated in the last few years because of the focus on GTO play. Question coming into the chat from Looks Good Mate on Twitch. He says, how big is Bryn into live reads? Bryn, is that a big element of your game?
Well, I wouldn't even really say it. Yeah, it's like live feeling. I go with my instinct for sure. I trust my instinct in life, and try to get myself as centered and as relaxed as I possibly can, to just be in a flow state of mind that just, maybe your subconscious is thinking on some level. If you just allow it and believe in that way, that, who knows how the thoughts that we have come into our head. I believe really, if you clear our mind and our vessel from like all the pollution that we have, like in this, all bad thoughts and bad food that we eat, then we wind up going deeper into ourselves. And the deeper you go into yourself, the more aware I think that you are in all situations that you're in, the more in tune with your reality that you are.
I
And it's
mean,
just like, yeah.
I think that, for myself, I'm a mere mortal at the poker table. It's super hard to identify with that because to me, it's just a card game. To you, it's like a whole existence and a whole connection to, the things around you, fucking the birds in the trees and everything is sort of connected. It's like some Dragon Ball Z episode. And when I hear you talk about playing poker, which is just totally crazy, but also really, really fascinating. What advice would you give to a player that has aspirations in the game of poker?
I would say with anything really, if you want something, you're just going to have to prove that you really want it. You're going to have to accept the pros and the cons of what that means for your life. And I really think that one thing that people really don't do enough is look at themselves and their own lives and ask themselves what it is that they really want. And, if what it is that they're chasing is actually aligned with the direction that they want to go in their life. And, I think that that's really step one, and where a lot of people wind up getting confused and tangled up in life. And the more thought you really do about everything that you do, just put some thought into it. The food that you eat, do you if you're saying that you want to be the best that you can be, what that entails is a lot. That entails becoming a more understanding, compassionate, loving, um, healthy, balanced person every day. And I would say that that's a difficult task that you're putting on yourself. So it's like, the best joys in life are the simplest things and having a simple life. And, I think poker is an incredible game because it really puts you under siege at times, like in tests, like it tests you early on, like if your mental strength is strong enough. And you really prove a lot to yourself by just proving that you can go through the tough situations that you have in life, because it's never going to be easy road for anyone. It's mostly about how you handle when everything is going really against you and in the wrong way. And when you prove yourself, like that you can take it, that you can be stronger, that you can be a good person through all of the life's difficulties that are being put in your way, it's like you open the door for everything to yourself.
So basically, what I take away from that is determination, discipline, focus, motivation. If you have those things, it doesn't matter what it is you're chasing, you can be successful at whatever you choose.
And really what you want to do is you want to love whatever it is that you do and have a good time while doing it. And I would say that you're really going to be successful, because the money isn't like success. Success is a joyful, life with good people around you. So, and if you're doing something that you love, you'll also always be able to excel at that. And there's always room for doing well in anything. There's a market for everything. If you do the best at anything that there is, there's a market there for you to be successful.
Yeah,
And it's
definitely.
really just about like believing in yourself and doing what it is that you love and not letting others tell you who or what you should be, listening to your own heart, because it always knows.
That's huge. For the people who want to watch Bryn play, the Poker Masters final tables are all available on PokerGo, as well as a new season of High Stakes Poker, Season 8, Bryn's first appearance on High Stakes Poker. If you're new to PokerGo, use the promo code HSP to take $20 off the annual subscription. And if you like the brand, if you like High Stakes Poker, we have some sick merch. PokerGoshop.com. We have High Stakes Poker hats, shirts, all sorts of stuff. Use the promo code Remko, it's my first name, REMKO, to take 10% off your total purchase. So please go check that out, and maybe you'll find something cool for yourself to rock at the poker table. A question came in earlier from Justin, and I don't want to forget about it because he was the first one to ask a question. He says, Bryn, let's see, how old were you when you turned professional as a poker player, and what was your bankroll at the time?
I mean, I don't know. I started playing at like 18 online, and it's not like I was really professional. I just put like $50 online and, started spinning it up and just really enjoyed playing. I went to like my parents. So I took like the first year off college and was just playing cards really. And then my mom wanted me to sign up for the community college around here. So I did, but I really couldn't get focused. It was just like something I didn't really care about. So I wound up like not going anymore when it was some September. So I must have been only like 1 month in, and I missed some W Coop event or something, and I was like, forget about school. I'm just gonna play poker. So I didn't really have any money at that time, maybe a few $1,000 or so, but I just, it was what I enjoyed doing. So I guess I just believed myself and just went with that.
What was your first purchase with poker money when you had enough to like, cash some out and maybe buy something for you or for your family? Do you remember the moment?
I mean, it must have been like a watch, like, and then it goes up in like grades. Like maybe first I got like $5,000 watch, then a $10,000 watch, then a $30,000 watch. But I guess in the early days, I was enjoying my life. It's expensive too to fly around all over the world, to eat at good restaurants, to stay in good hotels. It's an expensive life for sure, hard to sustain unless if you're doing really well. So was spending a lot for sure, and was just like was happy to help to pay off like my parents' credit cards, to help my parents out, my grandma, get nice things for my family. I bought like a few nice things for myself, but other than like a nice watch, nice clothes, glasses, I never really bought any. I never bought a car. I mean, I bought that chain, but almost the chain that I bought, actually, it was like,
That's a funny story, and I remember you telling me this story before.
yeah, it was like it was a perfect piece to tell a story too. It's like, because I was wearing it, everyone thought I was dumb for the longest time. So it must have made me so much money, actually.
Yeah, but okay, clear my memories up a little bit because I remember this was a spin up on Full Tilt Poker, and you were like, tell the
Yeah,
story
exactly.
because it's pretty funny.
I guess I was playing on Full Tilt Poker, and one of my friends at the time was friends with the owner of Jacob and Co. And I went to the place and wound up buying a chain and sending like Full Tilt money for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, back in those days, online accounts were just treated as bank accounts.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is a very funny thing. Dennis is wondering, Bryn, do you have any recommendations on books to read about mindset? Were any books for you that were instrumental in how you got to where you are now?
Yeah, I really like this book called The USA Guide to Balance, YUSA.
Okay.
That's a very good book. Yeah, did I read much more mindset things? It was like, mindset isn't really the thing that I read about too much. I've kind of crafted my own just strong mindset from like the life that I've just lived, and creating what I believed I needed to create to be successful. So it's not like I ever really read books for mindset. I crafted my own just strong mindset that I believed in what I believed in. I don't care what others really think about me, especially others who don't know about me. I care about what the people close to me think about me. Absolutely. I always want to hear all the input and insight of how I could be better every day. But at the same time, there's a whole lot of noise always going around, and it's up to you if you subscribe to the noise or not, or if you just stay in your direction and go the way that you feel.
Koa Linwi on Twitch is asking, Bryn, how are you doing at short stack? How do you approach it? And then I'll add a second question. How do you handle learning new games?
Well, I mean, short stack is just like a different situation in the tournament.
No,
You just always have
short deck.
short deck. Oh, short deck. Um, I have no idea how to go about learning it. I just like hopped in a few tournaments. I don't know. I just played. I'm probably like, maybe like 0 for 8 in short deck tournaments or something. Probably haven't played a buy-in under like 50,000 and only one of those. So I'm probably down like $1,000,000 in short deck or something. But I was just like messing around. I don't really care to, study or put in work to a game. I just either, play or don't. Even like learning mixed, it's just like I just like hopped into some pretty high stakes mix that at some point online and just taught myself, just watched other people play and just taught myself and built my own style. So really, I've only just learned any game ever by like practicing, by analyzing my own game and others' games also.
Right. So clearly, that is a way for you to pick it up, and no, it's one of those don't try this at home type situations where you're probably better off reading a book or an article or getting a coach. Have you ever gotten coached by someone, or have you ever coached players yourself?
Have I ever gotten coached by someone? No. I mean, actually, I guess it was, yeah, some like when I was I 20 years old, I went out to LA, and it's not really like I got coached, but I was hanging out with this one guy who was doing really good in like the 25-50 games on Stars in Commerce Casino also. And like we would hang out and either he would play online and he would talk when he was playing, and then sometimes I would, but I definitely learned just some things from him on the approach and the outlook of how to dissect and break down hands and each individual hand, and really looking at everything like a brand new situation with new information always, and always wanting to adjust, the best that you can. And I mean, I've coached, taught like a bunch of people through my career. Even I've just given some advice to some players, like, because I mean, since my game it analyzes others' games, it's like I understand their weaknesses also. So I feel like I could be such a big help for anyone, because I mean, I've probably done well against them myself, and it's probably because of, they might think that it's because I'm guessing right or something. It's probably something more like a calculation that I've made of how they play throughout, different stages of tournaments with different hands at different times. What players, blow up when they go from chip leader to short stack, and who keeps their cool. And, there's so many things to think about, like while you're playing, and ways that you can exploit others' weaknesses.
Yeah, and speaking of exploiting weaknesses, just wanted to quickly dive into the action here on screen. We are now three-handed in this 50K with almost $1 million up top. You are now the chip leader going up against Eric Seidel, the legend, and Jake Schindler. Give us some thoughts on Jake and Eric and their games and how you look at them. And then, of course, this hand, you have ace high on the turn. You decide to raise Eric's bet there. Give us sort of the background here on the situation.
Well, it's like he throws like in a little feeder here for like 125. He called the small blind. He has like no fives. So it looks like he's just trying to, throw in a little cheese with something not very strong, exactly like he has. And I raise the button. I'm chip leader. I can have a lot of fives. I can have bigger hands too. And I was just planning on raising the turn. And if he called, because then he would have maybe a hand like eights, nines or something, like really blasting the river also. And, Eric's like one of the real legends of the game for sure. And Jake's like very tough player too. So, all I was really thinking at this point was, okay, you want to leverage the stacks. So since Eric has like 50% more than Jake, you want to lean on Eric as much as you possibly can, because he's going to play more cautious.
Yeah, definitely. And you have a nice chip lead here in this three-handed battle. Question I have for you that I just popped into my mind. You are the number one all-time money list leader. You are not close to turning 40 just yet, which is the eligible age for the Poker Hall of Fame. And I want to ask this question to the chat as well. So chat, please chime in. Does Bryn Kenney belong in the Poker Hall of Fame? If from now here on out you don't play in another hand of poker, so based on your resume up until now, chat, please chime in. Does Bryn belong in the Poker Hall of Fame? And I'll ask you the question yourself as well, Bryn. Do you think you belong in the Poker Hall of Fame?
I mean, would the Poker Hall of Fame be real if I didn't belong in it? It seems like a joke if the number one winner who's, proven online, live, dedicated their career to the game and made it to the top, who could be more deserving than that?
Exactly. So then, when you see other people get inducted, how do you look at that? Because the Hall of Fame is such a strange discussion, whoever you talk to, because, a lot of the young guys that you came up with are going to be turning 40 in the next 5 to 10 years. So it's going to be really busy to get people into the Hall of Fame in a few years.
But a lot of these like online guys aren't really going to make it probably.
Right. So
because they're known in like a small section of like, and maybe they played for like a little bit, maybe they crushed for like a few years or so and then disappeared. Maybe they didn't really have much of a presence in the community, in the industry. So it's different too. I've had a big presence in the industry also, always trying to like really build the game up, talk to like make the amateur players have as much fun as they possibly can, try to even recommend better games, better ways for it to run, really trying to be just a great ambassador for the game always. And I think that's something that not too many people really think about, especially in my age generation. And I think that that's something that, if you talk about poker, you want poker to grow more and more. And who in my generation of players has been more instrumental for the growth of the game?
Right. So then when you look at players, and I'm just going to name a few that are sort of the similar age range and also way up there on an all-time money list, like, Abonimo, Dan Smith, Chidwick, D. Peters, maybe someone like Fedor, Kuhn, Steve O'Dwyer, Haxton, are those all names you think about when you look at the Hall of Fame in the next 10 years?
Well, it depends. Like, how does the Hall of Fame get voted? By the people who are in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, that is the voting system right now.
Well, but that's different. So right now, who exists in the Poker Hall of Fame? Like people who played old school poker. So who's going to get voted in? Probably the old school players.
Right. But then you guys still have a few years before everyone starts turning 40. So, some of the old school guys.
Yeah, but then you'll still have guys like come up there probably who might not be 40 yet, or I'm not sure if they are, like Nick Schulman and John Hennigan and a few guys like in the next 5-year age range too, who will take some of those like spots too of people. So, I would say that probably someone like Scott Seaver is more likely than any of the other guys because he plays all the mixed games. He plays in Vegas, so all like the players who are in the Hall of Fame, they know him. They know him as a good player. So it's different than like guys who have maybe cashed for a lot in high rollers. They might look and say, "Oh, okay, well, I don't even know who this guy is. How am I going to vote for him?"
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I'm curious what the chat thinks as well about how the Poker Hall of Fame is going to evolve. It's definitely a strange scenario. In line with that question, how do you see yourself in the world of poker for the next few years? Is it just going to be 100K and up is what's going to get you out of bed, and the rest you're not really going to care much about? Or do you still have ambition? Yeah.
I mean, it all depends. I might like if they had Aussie Millions or something, I might go and play a 10K if I was pretty like free and because I really like the city. So it really depends what like exists out there. Even like the last time in 2019, where did I go throughout that year? I went like maybe to Vegas twice, which I don't really have much of an interest to go there unless there's going to be like a big 250K. So Australia, I like going there. Like if there's a big tournament in Jeju, there's a chance I go there. I mean, I always parlayed those Jeju trips with a trip to Tokyo. So, it all depends how the world really looks because, if I can go to Tokyo, then it makes a trip like that much more appealing for me. Whereas if I can't and I'm just going to play a poker tournament, I might not necessarily care so much to go play a poker tournament.
Where does your go ahead?
So favorite places?
No, I was going to ask you, because you mentioned Tokyo. Where does your fascination with Japan and Japanese culture come from? Because we've all seen you as Sensei Kenny at the PokerGo studio, wearing your I mean, just amazing outfits. Like you even rocked up in a full kimono at one point. What's the deal there with you in Japan?
I don't really know, because we only know what we know in this life that we're in right now. I can't really tell you why I have such a strong connection to Japan. Love the food, love, I felt good there. I felt like I'd been there before. The first time I was in Tokyo, it felt familiar to me in a strange way. And the way that they do things, the samurai state of mind, I feel like I can connect to a lot of that samurai mentality. Even on a mushroom trip, my mom saw me actually as a samurai when we were hanging out at the end of like that night. I who knows if we've had past lives before this one. I'm a believer that we probably have, that we probably have a lot of information in ourselves, that it's just about accessing that information and getting deeper and more connected to yourself to be able to draw those gifts of the universe, or the knowledge that you have stored inside of whatever this perfect body vessel that we have is.
So basically,
I think everyone has like infinite potential, and their mind is, so strong, and really everybody is probably just, a big like ball of love, and that's how they feel their best, having love around them, having love in their life, having enjoyment. And, those are really the things that bring you happiness.
Deep stuff today on Run It Back, ladies and gentlemen. Please keep those questions coming in the chat. We have Bryn for about 25 more minutes as we watch this heads-up play between him and the legend Eric Seidel. By the way, on that note, we have all three World Series Poker main events from 87, 88, and 89 on PokerGo. So if you want to dive real deep into poker history and watch Mr. Seidel, very young, with the Walkman on the table, playing against Johnny Chan, that is available on PokerGo. And also, of course, his battle with Mr. Philhelmuth in 89. So that stuff is all available on PokerGo. If you're new to PokerGo, please use the promo code HSP to take $20 off your annual subscription. What was it like for you to play on High Stakes Poker for the very first time? I can only imagine that as a poker fan, you must have watched the show when it was first airing, and then for you to get a chance to play, what was it like?
It was fun. I was happy to play. I love, I love poker. I love high stakes poker. I love, being a good ambassador for the game. And yeah, so I just really loved that. So it was a fun time. I lost on the game. I lost a big hand. I came back, played a bit aggressive. I had fun. It was great.
What's it like though when you play? I know it's just a lineup and it's just a poker table, but still the name of High Stakes Poker being attached to it. When you found out about the game, or got the invite, did it make you think back of you as also a bit of a fan watching those games back in the day?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. It was cool just to think about, where I was at maybe when those games were happening, just like getting into poker, maybe grinding Supernova Elite, stuff like that in some bad years, or when I needed to build myself back. And yeah, it's cool. It's been a long career of poker.
Right.
A lot of hours, a lot of grinding.
When you face guys like Ivy and Dwan, people that everybody looks up to, are those just opponents for you, or can you sense a different sort of energy around those guys because they seemingly intimidate a lot of other players?
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know if I've ever felt intimidated against anyone. It's more, yeah, I'm confident, and yeah, confident, prepared, and enjoy the competition. I would say I've gotten the best out of most people that I've ever played with.
And then,
yeah, just another player, just another player.
That's really interesting. You mentioned at the start of the show, you mentioned that you're involved in a lot of charity work as well. What sort of charities and things are closest to your heart that you're focused on this year?
Well, like this year more, it's like me focusing on trying to, build some good mechanisms to sustain for longer, let's say, in like business terms, because I think that that's where you're really going to be able to have the biggest impact. Uh, charity wise, pretty much what I do is I believe in people. So if I have, a certain person that I know who's doing a certain type of charity or has, you know, or is in close to the community, whereby giving them an offering can help a lot of people, let's say, especially during times where a lot of people were struggling. So able to help a lot of people out. And me and my friend, well, I mean, he started, I just helped, or I funded, but this plastic for rice exchange in Indonesia, actually, where they've cleaned up like 140 different villages where people would, I forget the amount of tons, but yeah, it like he started it in his village, and the surrounding villages just really liked it, so all just started adopting it, and it started getting coverage from other countries in Southeast Asia also. And really, I'm all about investing in the right people, the right selfless people who want to do good for others. I think that that's where you're really going to make your mark. Everything's about investing in the person, business or charity. It's investing in who's steering and running the ship. And I think that if you're down this path of trying to do as much good for others, you wind up connecting to all these type of people.
So then, are you going to travel to Southeast Asia? Do you want to see it with your own eyes? Do you want to,
I love Bali anyway, so absolutely I'll be back like over there and doing more stuff. And what do I really believe in? I believe in creating orphanages, safe spaces, cultural centers, farms, things that help people, and teach, and maybe mentor people to be their best self, put people in the right direction, help them learn to sustain for themselves, and really just try to assist people as much as you can with other help selfless people.
11 outs here for Seidel on the turn as you guys are heads up, and he doubles up once more as the action continues. Let's get some more questions in the chat. We are live on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. This is your last chance, so get your questions in right now. The rest of the show will just be questions from the chat, so this is your chance to ask Bryn anything. A very eager gentleman in the chat on YouTube says his name is BMW, so pretty sure that's not his real name. He says, Bryn used to work at Seatown as a bag boy. He came a long way, respect. He says he lived in Oswego, Long Beach. This guy is probably one of your old neighbors. He's asking about Milk and More 24-hour bagel.
Nice. That's like my corner bagel place. They make amazing bagels. I live on that street.
That's amazing.
I would always love to come back and like get bagels. I love like New York bagels. They're the best. And like smoked salmon too in New York. Like I can't really eat that anywhere else, but in New York, every time it's like the first thing. I have my mom pick up bagels, lox, and cream cheese.
Oh, beautiful. I love it as well. A question coming in on Twitch from Misha, asking about fun stories and memories from the MCOP. For those unaware, the Master Classics of Poker in Amsterdam. Arguably, Bryn, I'd be safe to say they're one of your top 3 cities.
Yeah, for sure. I love Amsterdam. I love the Netherlands, definitely. I love the energy there, the feeling. That was always a very fun place to go there and play like the tournaments, sometimes rent an apartment, ride my scooter in the rain, sometimes to the casino, smoke a joint on all the breaks, like right outside, walk through the park. I really just love Amsterdam, and it was fun playing some poker there for sure. but sometimes I would even be there and not play in the poker tournaments just because I would love the city. So maybe it would be a nice day, go out in the park instead.
Question coming in from Robert on Facebook says, "Are you a big O fan? Do you like to play split pot games?"
No, not really, because I mean, I like playing mixed games. So I guess I like 8 game. Yeah, I like 8 game for sure. Um, but I mean, I've just played so much poker in my life. It's just the interest of me really learning a new game or focusing on a new game. It's just not really there anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, split pot games do play a bit slower. Let's see. Oh, we got some weed questions coming in. Fred's wondering, what weed does Bryn smoke, and who's his favorite grower? I mean, this is way out of my league. Do you have any weed advice?
I mean, my favorite weed is actually in Amsterdam for sure. It's this like old school strain at this what man, the name is like skipping my. Oh yeah, Gray Area is the shop in Amsterdam, and it's this silver bubble strain, and that was always my favorite. Like best taste, best high. You know, it could be able to function throughout the day and have a really nice taste. Really small place there, so I would recommend for sure anyone to go, check out if they still have it available in Amsterdam.
Saad is asking a deep question on YouTube. He says, "Bryn, what have you learned about people since becoming wealthy?"
It's not even really about becoming wealthy since I've been like on the up and down, like always. I've learned different ways of how people are when they have money or when they don't. Really, what I would say, what I've learned more about people from becoming more maybe enlightened in life is just that, the more that someone acts out and acts in the wrong way, the more hurt they really are inside. And trying not to judge people and just be as compassionate and offer a helping hand to people as much as you can go a long way. Usually when people are acting out, they're acting out because of an imbalance in themselves, and they're just crying out for something. So try holding on to things with people for forever, and judging people so harshly when you haven't lived in their shoes is not really the way I would say that you want to be in life. You want to be more accepting and open and really just wish the best for everybody. And really, that's no matter even what they've done to you. I think the best thing that you could do for your life is just to want to see the best for everybody else.
Wow, that's pretty deep. And I'm wondering also, as you've gone through ups and downs in your life, do you also notice people treating you differently depending on where you're at, whether you're up or down?
Well, yeah, well, that's like one thing I never really cared anyway. I more looked at people of how they would treat the people that they might deem the least important in their mind. So I would really never focus because you always imagine too that people might act a different way to you, and they do act a different way to me. It might be because they want something, but someone shows their true colors in their interactions with others. So just like poker, how I analyze everything at the table, I analyze everything with people also and see really how they act in other settings. And it's really hard to to bluff someone who's just like in tune with I've just been getting more in tune, I would say, with everything in life. And the more you connect to yourself, I really believe that everybody is connected. And the more you connect to yourself, the deeper that you connect to yourself, the deeper that you can connect to everybody else, because, that connection is just stronger because you remove whatever poisons that exist. And that just gives you more and more insight to people, and really more just wanting to more wanting to hope to see them be their best self, because I wish the best for everybody. Everyone's been through stuff. Some people have had a hard time to deal with it, or they haven't been able to let go of things that have transcribed in their life. Really, you just hope for happiness for everyone. And even no matter what they ever did to you, you don't let them affect you, because, if I take what someone else did to me and hold on to it, it's just poisoning my own garden. So, it's about accepting everything and just moving on stronger from all of it.
Question coming in from B Moore on YouTube. He says, what player is more difficult to play against? A field player, high IQ math, or numbers player?
A guy who adjusts to like the game, like understands the game and adjusts, because they're playing like the same type of style. They're not playing by a certain set of rules or codes, or maybe they have a certain way, but then at the same time, they'll go with their own instincts also. So you would rather play against a guy that is very predictable as opposed to someone who isn't.
Right. That's interesting. Are there certain names that come to mind of players you like playing against because it's a fun challenge because they adjust, you adjust, and it becomes sort of like a mind game?
Yeah. Let's see who is who's like Dan Smith is the first person who comes to mind there for sure.
And what about guys like Chidwick and Haxton? Those seem to me as though they are always so sharp with everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's what they think.
There we go. Fire in the hole. We have some hot takes on the show. I appreciate it. A basic question from Pro Legolas on Twitch. He says, "How can I study poker?" Bryn, any advice for beginning players? Like how should they get started?
Just start by playing. Maybe watching some content. Just learning basics about the game first, I guess, if you're really talking about starting, and then I guess just play a little bit, watch the good players play online sometimes, see what they're doing. You can always see just what the winning players at all stakes are doing, how they're playing, and start incorporating that into your game. So it's all just like a massive learning curve.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty evident that if you are a beginner, reading books is still very helpful, especially if you're just very new to the game. That is something I would highly recommend as well. And I'm not a beginner, but I'm definitely not on Bryn's level, and I would say that that's probably the right way to do. A question from Tom Bien. He says, Bryn, would you ever start your own podcast?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I get some time, when I have some time and have the right people who can set it up, I would like to set up a podcast that's geared on highlighting people who are selflessly doing good all around the world, and to put more light on those people, and to try to kind of shine light onto more people that should be really revered and looked at as role models in the world for our future generations, and trying to highlight more of that. So it's definitely something that I'm excited about doing sometime. I'll definitely be doing it. When the time happens, I'm not sure.
Question from Ian, and I see Salco asking a similar question. Are you going to be playing Triton events again in the future?
Yeah, I like Triton for sure. If they have $1 million event, I'll definitely be there. If it's smaller, it's going to all come down to like convenience of if it works like with life, I guess, at the stage. If you're trying to be a new, better person every day, things change every day. You don't know, you don't know what's going to happen. You just accept whatever is.
So Triton Million, big one for one drop. Those events have been held with irregularity. They're not happening every year. How many of those events do you think this poker economy can sustain once everybody is vaccinated and everything is safe again? Do you think once a year could be a thing? Do you think that's too much? Do you think it's too little?
Well, it all depends like where it is, who's organizing it, and how it's ran. So, running that really, Triton did an amazing job of getting the field, the players, what they did. It's going to take someone like parlaying on their network to be able to build something great like that. If they build casinos in Japan, could they have $1 million tournament every year with tons of successful people? Absolutely. Would those people want it to be televised? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that is actually.
Would they even want it to be reported? No.
Right. That's actually a very good point. As someone like yourself who's played at the highest stakes, what do we, the fans and the people consuming poker on TV and in the media, what do we not see? Like, is there a lot going on behind the scenes that we not see as far as events and cash games and stuff? And you know, what are some memories you might have of that without, you know, possibly spoiling anything that, you know, it has to remain private?
No, to be honest, like not for me. You know, like this whole private game thing, it's like it's just not really my style at all to like try to kiss ass to get to play in like some games or try to do this or that or it's just not really for me. You know, I like doing things the way I like to do it, and you know, there hasn't been any of that. You know, a lot of people just in life, poker players too, they're focused or their thought is trying to make like the maximum out of every situation that they're in. I don't really want to play private home game, like high stakes versus people who I like, where I think I have, you know, a big advantage. I don't care to hustle anyone. You know, I want to play. I'm happy to play a tournament that anyone could sign up for at any time. You know, I'm never trying to downplay my skill. You know, I think that I'm at least one of the best in the world. So why would I try to, you know, convince other people to play huge stakes with me for fun? And at the same time, a lot of these people, you know, people think very short term. So just about life and everything. I don't need anything from anyone, but at the same time, I like learning from smart, successful people who have went down a different road than I have in life, and that's really an entertaining thing. And I'm not trying to make any money from them. I'm trying to, you know, share knowledge and you know, just really try to better myself every day. And it doesn't really that for me that doesn't consist of making as much money as I possibly can. That's not something that I think about.
Do you think private games are ruining the ecosystem?
No, poker players are ruining the ecosystem by, you know, tanking every hand and playing with headphones on and not making it a welcoming, inviting atmosphere for recreational players to play.
Do you think if rules were put into place that would help, you know, for tournaments, like you can't do certain things?
Yeah, I mean, you look at how excited all the recreational players were to play that $1 million Triton tournament.
Right.
You know, if you set like a certain way that just doesn't completely favor like the pro and what they're used to, you know, like taking time, it shouldn't even really be a thing. You know, if you're a pro, you should play instant. You know, you should play fast. So you should make all your decisions fast. You know, this is what you do for a living. You want the other person to have a good time when they're doing it. Otherwise, they're not going to come back. People have forgot that, you know, they need people to have fun doing something to actually to want to come back. And
Okay.
they just think of like getting the minute value in every situation is worth the most for them, where I would say that that's a very short-term thinker and someone that doesn't really care about the growth of the game.
Right now, we're seeing you and Seidel all in for basically all the chips. Sixes against Jack 10 suited. If you win this one,
I think I lost like either 9 or 11 all in straight to him here. This was the craziest match ever. I won the last two like to win it, but I lost 9 or 11 all in straight against him. I would just like lose an all in, chip down half of his stack, lose an all in, chip down half of his stack. Like it was great. It was beyond crazy.
I remember because I was there and I was like, this is never going to end.
Unbelievable. And then fortunately, yeah, I held in that flip right there.
Yeah, the six is held against the Jack 10, and I believe we're coming up here on the last hand of the show. Bryn, for the people that want to follow you, are you still active anywhere on social media where people can see whatever you're up to this year?
I like post Instagram stories sometimes to try to give like some motivation and some like knowledge or insight to people sometimes. I've posted a lot less in this past year because I've really just been trying to focus on myself, because I feel like if you really want to do good for as much good as you can, you know, you have to look into yourself first. You have to be as good as you can to yourself so you can be that to others. So I've really just been trying to, you know, improve my health, improve everything, and just try to be a better person every day, better, smarter, wiser. You know, other people, sometimes people have a bad connotation on changing. They look at it in a bad way, but I feel like, you know, it's so important to change because every day you get a new set of information, you're a new person, and everything really changes always. So if you're not changing, you're just like a dinosaur.
Yeah, and that's something that no one should aspire to be, a dinosaur. On that note, we have reached the end of this final table. Bryn Kenney taking it down. That's no surprise, but it was fun to catch up with you and to hear what you've been up to in this past year. That is the purple jacket of the Poker Masters. And if you guys want to watch more of the Poker Masters action, please head on over to PokerGo.com. We have every single episode, live stream, whatever you want to watch of the Poker Masters of the last 3 years, of course, excluding 2020, on PokerGo available. We have new episodes coming out of Poker After Dark every Monday night and High Stakes Poker every Wednesday night. We have Ivy and Dwan in the lineup currently, weekly new episodes. Don't miss that. And if you want to sign up for PokerGo for the first time, use promo code HSP to take $20 off the annual subscription. Don't miss out on any of that. Bryn, on that note, we've reached the end of the show. Thank you so much for being here. Always good to catch up with you. We should probably do this twice a year at least.
Definitely. Yeah, I always love it.
All right, man. Be well, be safe, and do not forget to share more of your knowledge on Instagram for the people that want to follow you. Just search for Bryn Kenney on Instagram. He should come up right away. For the people that are curious, next week on the show, Mr. Doug Polk. He's going to be on the show. He's been through a bit of a challenge. Who knows? Who knows how it went? We'll talk about it a little bit on next week's show. And then I have Sam Trickett lined up as well, and a very special guest in a few weeks' time that I can't say anything about just yet, but it's an old throwback. It's going to be pretty epic. All right, for now, this was Run It Back. Everybody, thanks so much for watching. On your way out, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to stay tuned for much more here because we have tons of exciting content coming up. All right, for Bryn Kenney, my name is Remko Rinkema. See you guys next week.